Hi there. Welcome to Sunnyside Journals. I'm Catherine. I have a flip through today of a journal I completed recently from an antique book on gardening. So I thought you might enjoy taking a look through and seeing what I did here. This is a really pretty book, and I really enjoyed putting this together. It's a second edition of this particular book called The Manual of Gardening. And the first edition was in 1909, and this edition was published in 1911. So it's 109 years old. This is an old book, and it was actually in quite nice condition. And it really was a pleasure to restore the spine and give it new life so that it can be a journal and a keepsake for someone. So to start off, I wrapped it in a beautiful bow from satin blanket edging that I got at one of my on one of my thrift escapades. I find things here and there at estate sales and yard sales and thrift stores and rummage sales through friends who say, I don't need this anymore. Would you like it? Or, yeah. So, except for the glue and the ink and the thread, and this little bulldog clip, which I've rusted to look old, everything else in this book here, all the papers, all the ribbons, all the laces, you name it, is from a repurposed source. So, as I said, this satin was from a thrift store, and it actually is the satin that goes around the edge of a homemade blanket. And I just thought the color was perfect. This is a brooch that I found on one of my thrift stores, and it is actually a handmade, hand-embroidered pettipoint with 3 beautiful little flowers that somebody created. So I've pinned it onto that ribbon because I couldn't think of a more perfect place where this brooch had to go. I found it last summer, and I knew that at some point I was going to do the right book for this beautiful brooch. And it's just pinned on, so that way the ribbon can be retied afterwards if you wish. Because I tied it closed, I didn't put my Two Nanas bookmark in that usually goes in my books, so we'll put that in later. Same with this one. I finished this afterwards. You'll see when we get into the book that it is full of black and white sketches, and so I watercolor painted one of them and turned it into a journaling tag. So we'll pop that in at some point when we get into the book. I will include, when the Manual of Gardening goes to her new home, I will include and send along some extra pages that were from the book. There's a lot more of these beautiful little drawings throughout it. And there's I really enjoyed, but I didn't make use of them, and I thought you might be able to. There was farming implements, and these are old. Like these, some of them are hand-used, hand plows, because it's 1909, and 1911, things hadn't changed in the 2 years when this edition was published. So I just thought that that might be enjoyable. So those will go with the Manual of Gardening to its new home. So a little bit about it. Let's talk about the dimensions. It is 5 1/4 by not quite 7 3/4, and then the thickness is a little bit more than 1.5, especially when you consider that I put lots of stuff in it. So, but the spine itself seems to be about 1 3/4. I restored the spine. It was a little bit thinning here on the shoulders of the spine. So I restored it. I fortified that, gave it a new interior backing, and then what I did was I gave it a hidden hollowback spine, which are lovely for writing in. And the reason it has that name is because, although you can't see it, it is not attached to this spine, and it allows for the book to fall open nicer for writing in. So there are 9 signatures in this book, and for each signature I have made a tab from the chapter heading for the first 9 chapters from the original book, and I really like how that turned out. And there is lace along the edges. The front and the back lace are antique crocheted lace, and then there's still some other fun older vintage laces as well. So when we open it up, you'll see the end papers, front and back, are from an old magazine, 1958. And I created them into end papers. This is the original notation from the book that says it was published in 1911. And I made a journaling card from the original first page, which I think turned out nice. I made a sort of a camouflage tuck spot so that it could be here on the front page if you like, and if you want to do something else with the front page, you are able to still continue and do that. And as you can see here, here's one of the tabs that I used, and I love the title of chapter 1, The Point of View, because that's really what a journal is all about. It's about our own point of view, isn't it? You'll see inside that I've reused many of the original pages from the book. The paper was still in very nice condition. And as well, I have left plenty of space for the new owner to do whatever he or she wishes to do with this book, whether it's going to be a journal for writing in, or a journal for collaging in, or putting memories in. I've left the threads from whatever I've sewn. I've left them long. You can trim them if you wish. Lots of tea and coffee dyed papers, which I did myself. And there's actually quite a few vintage papers in here, and there are also page spreads from other books. This is from a gardening book. There's a total of 236 pages in this book of varying sizes, so you'll see this page is a little bit smaller. Most pages are the full size, but some are a little half page, just to add a little bit of variety and fun. This tuck spot was created from a 1954 work basket magazine, and I glued it onto a file folder. Here's a journaling tag that I created from one of the illustrations from the original text block. And this is just a little bridge tally paper. This is a fussy cut from an Edith Holden book with the names of the dragonfly and the forget-me-nots. And chapter 2 starts off the second signature. This is another page spread from the original book. The artwork was just lovely in it. So pretty. Another tuck spot, and I've just tucked a few journaling pages in there. Some tea-dyed music paper, ledger paper flip out, more paper from that flower book. Little hummingbird fussy cut, because you always have birds in your garden. Chapter 3 starts the beginning page for the third signature. A little tuck spot from some fussy cut pansies and some journaling papers and a vintage index card. It's lovely and yellowed, and I didn't do that. Mother Nature and Father Time did that. More tea-dyed book spreads from out of a Beatrix Potter date book. Another fussy cut from out of a Birdwatcher's book. These pages are from a gardener's 10-year diary that I just love that I have. This center spread is from a guest book. Those are fun, and I love putting them in the middle of signatures. They really give you an opportunity to really go crazy with whatever it is you want to express yourself with. Some little vellum roses. These are more pages from the original text block. I created a little collage here from that 1954 Workbasket magazine. And that's some yellowed cellophane tape. I save it whenever I find it on something. I carefully peel it off and save it so that I can use it somewhere else. So again, I didn't make that yellow. Age did that. So this is the beginning of chapter 4 and signature 4. Here's a little hidden journaling spot made from a Jessie Wilcox Smith illustration with a bit of stenciling on the corners, and if you open it up you can write inside, so you can maybe write something that you want to keep a little bit more private and put it behind the closed doors. Now this is not only a tuck spot with some tea-dyed paper behind it, but it's also a journaling spot. More from the gardening 10-year diary. And it's also a center spread. Again, just gives you, I love these center spreads. You can really go creative to your heart's content with those. I like these papers. These are tea-dyed. They were from a music examination book for theory. This is also from that 1954 Workbasket magazine, and I just thought it was cute. So you could learn to arrange your flowers after you grow them. A little tag that I made from one of the illustrations in the book, and you can journal on the back. And it also tucks in behind this lace that goes along the edging of chapter 5, which is the first page of the 5th signature. Little tuck spot that I created using a photo frame. It's got some acetate on the front. I wanted it to sort of look a bit like a specimen card, and those illustrations of ladybugs are from the original text block. And then another journaling card created from some Edith Holden from her book, The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady. This jolly-looking gardener with his shovel is from a book on the biography of Beatrix Potter. And again, this is where, when I say varying sizes, every once in a while there's just a fun little page here and there. Fussy cut flowers, more ledger paper, another page from out of a guest book. That's my mother's birthday. I didn't even realize that when I put that in. Another flip out there. Onion skin paper that's been tea-dyed. This is a vintage birthday card that opens this way, and then the salutation and the original greeting is inside it. It was for a lady named Jean from her friend. I just thought that was so beautiful. And that is on the first page of chapter 6, which is signature 6. This is a little faux black and white photo that I created. It's the original photo is from the same Beatrix Potter biography book that I have, and that's Beatrix. Oh, I stand corrected. This is Laura Ingalls Wilder, and that was a day that she was wandering around the property where the little house in the big woods was. That was that Laura Ingalls Wilder, not Beatrix. And then this little tuck spot, which has a word snippet that says flowers and leaves, is also a little journaling, a hidden journaling spot. Some little squirrels and bunnies. Those are always in gardens. I love these papers that have the holes. A little fussy cut of a little girl opening a garden gate. Here's a little tuck spot from a Victorian calling card. It's a reprint. It's not a real one, but it's still pretty. I got it out of a book that I fussy cut. And then there's a vintage playing card that I've created into a journaling card. And there is a Rolodex card that I've put a fussy cut on with a word snippet. And I just tucked those in there. They can go wherever you like. This is the first page of the 7th signature, which has the Chapter 7 tab at the top. Another tuck spot with another specimen card that I created from a photo frame, put some acetate on it, and it's actually an elm leaf beetle. And again, some vintage playing cards that I recreated, repurposed into journaling cards. And I just tucked those back there. You know what? Let's put this little guy back there too. So you can go there as well. This is a collaged page I did to create more journaling space just for fun. So I covered up some of the text this is from the original text block. And I loved where it said mice and rabbits. So I added a fussy cut rabbit. And there's a little mouse down here. This is actually this from a Beatrix Potter book. That's Thomasina Tittlemouse right there. And here's a little tuck spot from another Birdwatcher's book. A vintage index card for journaling on. I intended to put this somewhere in the book, and then I sort of thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave this for the new owner to put it wherever they wish. So I've just tucked it in there for now, and if you want to glue that somewhere, go right ahead. Because it was the dust cover from a book on flowers, the back is actually blank. So that's why I hesitated to glue it down, because it actually could be journaled on the back. So I'm leaving that up to you. Another tuck spot, I made a pocket out of a map from the original text block. And it has a tag that I recreated and collaged on with some foxglove and an illustration from the book and a little bit of fabric here. And then there's room on the back to journal on. And I think I will tuck the Two Nanas bookmark in here. There you go. This is the first page of the 8th signature, which has the Chapter 8 heading from the original book. And again, another tag that I created from the page out of Edith Holden. And there's room on the back for journaling. More of those beautiful illustrations. Another tuck spot of a lady wandering in her garden. And I've created a tag dedicated to the backache of working in your garden. And then this is also out of the original text block, and it's the kitchen garden planting table that was in the book. And I loved the way it looked as is. So I just made it so that it can be journaled on the back. And I like that raw brown paper, so I didn't put any lined paper on the back of that. I thought it looked nice the way it was. This is just such a pretty book. I really enjoyed making it. I was looking through it and I thought, oh, I didn't put any ribbons and I didn't put any fabric in it. So then I started looking through it and thinking, all right, where am I going to put these? And then I thought, hold on, I really don't want it. I just like it the way it is. So I didn't. I will send some along in a goodie envelope so that if the new owner wishes to put a little snippet of fabric or a little bit of ribbon, here's a little fussy cut mama cat with her kitten, because every garden needs a cat. So I'll send a little bit along so that you can put some in if you wish. Get you started. Here's another larger journaling tag that I created that is a gardening, it calls it the gardening course on when, where, and what to plant with the various things in your garden. So I created a big journaling card out of that. I tucked it here, and there's a little boy and a little girl picking apples in that tuck spot. And this is the final signature, chapter 9. So as you've seen, as I've turned pages, plenty of room for the new owner to make this their own. Some more birds from the Birdwatchers book. Some more from the an address book from Beatrix Potter. This is some stationery with lavender on it. This is another guest book spread, but I had to have a little fun with one of the guest book spreads. So I created this. It's an illustration that was in a vintage Reader's Digest condensed book, one of the books that was in, you know how they have like 4 or 5 condensed books inside one book. And I just loved that it was a father and daughter playing in a garden, and I created them into pockets and put some journaling tags in the pockets. I really like how that turned out. And then, of course, the inside is left for you to do whatever you wish. Thought that turned out pretty. Another tuck spot created from an illustration from the book. I love this one because it just says a home. And some little journaling pieces. This is the same paper that I used on the first and the last signature. And another faux black and white photograph that I created. And you can journal on it. Some more of that antique hand crocheted lace. This is an antique postcard, a genuine one. It looks like it was for a rally day for a church, a local church. And it was to a young lady named Miss Anna Wenzel. And it's only addressed to in town. So obviously they knew that wherever the postman was going to take it, he knew where the Wenzels lived. And it says, come and bring your parents and friends. The value of your child. I just thought it was pretty. The handwriting is so beautiful. So this is genuine. And then a little piece of tea-dyed note paper to write on. And I created a tuck spot out of a tag I made. But the sticker on the tag is actually a vintage 1940s sticker that I found on one of my escapades. And again, the end papers created from the 1950s British magazine, The Woman's Journal. So that's my rendition of the Manual of Gardening. It should be available as soon as this is up and live on YouTube. If you're viewing this, it should be available in my Etsy shop. I just want to let whoever the purchaser may be, let them know that because of the COVID-19 virus, all forms of delivery are greatly delayed right now, and it's out of my hands. So I'm just giving a fair warning. I wouldn't want anyone to be disappointed that perhaps it takes 2 weeks or 3 weeks or such for your journal to arrive. I will do my best to get it shipped and into the deliverer's hands promptly, but once they have it, it's really out of my control how long it will take. So I just wanted to make sure you understood that. So if it was time sensitive, if you were purchasing this for a gift that needed to arrive on a certain day, it's out of my control when that will be. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my version of, look at that, I love that. My version of the Manual of Gardening. And thanks for perusing through it with me, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye.